to the bunker yet again, another weekly video. We're finding time and we're squeezing them in, so all's good in the hood. As the title suggests to the video, bug in or bug out. Now this topic has been probably discussed for millions of hours over the years. There's no right or wrong in either of the options. It's all down to personal, tailored choices, really. So what I'm going to do briefly, or trying to be brief, is to try and go over the reasons for and against on both sides, just to get a balanced view and see what you guys think, and just let rip in the comments. And hopefully, you know, people who are thinking of one or the other can go through the comments and read other people's viewpoints and their situations and circumstances. There is no right or wrong for everyone. It's, as I said, it's all personal to you and your family maybe. But before we do, last week's video, I forgot, I've got some shout outs. Now I wrote these down a few weeks ago, and these are people who have been supportive of me, personal, blah blah blah, behind the scenes, because there's so much going on. There really is no time to talk about everything. So without further ado, we're going to go quite quickly through the shout outs. Apologise if I don't mention everyone, it's just going to take hours and we just haven't got the time. So briefly, a big shout out to my friends. These are all around the world. Randy J, love you Randy, hope all's well at home mate, and work isn't taking over too much of your spare time, because the guy's always mental busy fixing up all kinds of stuff. Navy Davey, Les, Effie Powson, alright Les, DJ Shawnee, in the mix. Obviously my mate Wayne, the Sergeant Fruitcake, heard up. Roach obviously, Pete Mindwiseman, aka Maverick Outdoors, Stuart Elms, alright Stu, Oregon Mike and Cody the Dog. I hope you're doing well my friend, and you're having a good time with your doggy there going all over the States. That's awesome to see, it really is. I miss my dog actually. Bushcraft Wales, Mark, hi mate. Sandy of Jackraw Knives, Wiltshire man, love you Sandy. Scott Wessex Blades obviously. JP Outdoors, who's just started his YouTube channel, a UK vet, so check him out, find him on YouTube, JP Outdoors. And Matt World Walker 1664, retired Marine. Craig Ruby, Falcon Industry out in the US of A. Hi Craig. Scottish Wanderer Bushcraft, extra special thanks to you. Trying to nail down a trip, me and my family, to Scotland sometime this year, really don't know when. Just need to find time with work, book off some time and get into some wild camping. Now the problem we've got as a family is we can't go too far from the vehicle. You know, the age-old wild camping is you park the vehicle and you walk, tab, hike, whatever you want to call it, X amount of clicks to a pre-planned destination. But you know, with my son being 8 months old at the moment, it's you know, to walk like 10 miles or so, carrying all of the kit and equipment, etc. And then also you've got the extra added worry of how safe is the vehicle in the middle of nowhere. It's a big problem to wild campers, is the vehicle. So thanks to you, and we're going to continue to chat online behind the scenes to try and cover all of our options, so we got a better scope to think of where to go, when, etc. vehicle, blah blah blah. Who else is there? Yeah, well bro in the States, K-Jumper1 Ken, hope all is well with you, family, and Max and all of the other crazy hounds out there in the mountains. Hope all is well my friend. Canapis, what a name, is a new friend of mine on Instagram, and I think he's considering, or he's posted up a few videos based on his ramblings. I think he's up Sunderland area, I'm not sure. Jim Nicest Knives, who has changed his channel name on Instagram. to some strange name, something to do with Dungeons and Dragons years ago. Don't ask me why. I think it's something to do with the forthcoming knife clampdown on the UK, so he's trying to distance himself title-wise with that, as far as I know. My dear old friend Age, who I served with back in the day, that's him there with the SLR, that's me with the Jimpy, the gun. I think that was in Sennybridge, Wales. Blast from the past, mate. Can't wait to see you at the Prepper Meet this year. Sparky Steve, alright Steve, just has some really bad news from Steve. He's just lost his best friend dog, Zeus. So rest in peace, Zeus, and I just hope you're getting through it, mate, because it's a horrible thing, you know, when your best friend dog you've had for a number of years is all of a sudden not there anymore. It's a big thing to get over. And Oz, LFH02, we will get to meet up one of these days. We're really hoping to get to the shaky meet this year, because last year with Litland being ill, it was just a bit of a last minute kick in the ass. It was horrible. So fingers crossed we're going to be okay and all systems go for that. That's the shout outs done. Sorry it's went on for too long, but yeah, back to the subject matter in mind, bug in or bug out. Let me see. The way I see it is, if you're in an urban environment, heavily dense populated urban environment, personally, if it was me, I would choose to bug out purely because of the fence, etc. The best way to bug in, as it were, would be that your building is secure. You've got enough provisions in there to last a amount of time, depending on the circumstance, and how you defend your property as well. As you know, in the UK, it's pretty much illegal to own firearms unless you're certified, you've got licenses, etc. In a clampdown, I should imagine, you know, because you're licensed and you've got firearms, in time, you know, you're going to get a knock on the door maybe and, you know, hand over those weapons, because, you know, they don't want people breaking into your house, falling into the wrong hands, and it's just going to make the matters and situation worse for the forces and police, etc. So that's another thing, how to defend your property. You know, if we're talking shit hit the fan, when everything's gone, just say, for argument's sake, I don't know, this is all off cuff, I've got nothing written down, the grid power goes down all the way across the UK for a number of weeks. Now that is going to be a serious issue for everyone, to be honest, especially in urban environments. You know, people in general will not have a mass stock of food and ways of handling sanitation, you know, cooking, cleaning, washing, eating, staying warm through winter periods, etc. You know, when people run out of that sort of kit, they're going to be looking for stuff to help them survive. And, you know, as I said in the other video, you know, the baddest, meanest and toughest get what they want. So you're probably going to be seeing gangs get together, go door to door, just breaking in and taking what they want. And obviously if you've got a secure building and there's signs, CCTV everywhere, they're just going to think, well, there's something in there which is going to be of use to us, and they're going to try everything they can to get in there and get that stuff. So for me, bugging in an urban environment is not the best ideas, in my opinion. This is just opinions, everyone's got their own, all sorts of reasons why. Bugging in rural locations is a good idea, I think. You know, you should only really bug out in the last, you know, you really need to, i.e. you've got a plan, you've got kit and equipment, food supplies for you and your family, you know where you're going to be going to, you may have friends you're going to meet up with, you know, it's getting that bad where you look out the door and looting has started right at the end of your street. Now is the time to get everything in your vehicle and bug out, unless you want to stay and see what happens. That's just me. Yeah, that's my plan, actually. I'm on the edge of an urban environment, and it's not going to be too long once the power goes down that You know, the door's going to be tried to get kicked in, stuff thrown through the windows. And what might happen is you've done your best with the time and money that you've got available to you to make your building secure. People are going to try, they won't get in, they'll get pissed off, and they'll probably just set fire to the place. So then you're faced with, you're locked in, you're defended, your building's on fire, you know, and your family's in there. That's a bad situation. As I say, to me, only bug out if you really, really have to. Okay. As a friend of mine said a while ago, if you leave it too late, you're dead. I know it sounds bad, and I know it sounds possibly melodramatic, etc. But yeah, of course. That's what I think, anyway. So yeah, there's so many things to consider. Bug it out, make a plan, get all of your kit and equipment nearby so you can load the vehicle as quickly as possible. Everyone's got their own personal bags. All right, we're talking last ditch inch bags. I'm never coming home bags. So you get all of the stuff in the car. Something happens, you have to leave the car. Then you're on foot. You have to leave what you got in the car. But you almost certainly should have a personal bag with the bare basics and important items in that bag. So if you have to leave your vehicle, you should be better than most because you've got pre-planned kit and equipment. Dave Canterbury, the 5 C's, you know, we're talking shelter, combustion, you know, food, water supplies, cutting tool, cordage, that sort of thing. That will see you through most situations. We're better than nothing at all. So yeah, that's my advice on if you have to bug out. Just make a plan. The reasons why I don't like the idea of having everything in the vehicle is numerous reasons really. The vehicle could be stolen, set fire to, you've lost everything. And even in the weather as well, if you've got food and stuff stored, if it's like balmy temperatures and it's hot, your vehicle is basically a greenhouse unless you keep it somewhere safe, in a garage maybe if you're lucky enough. So yeah, and also what many people don't really understand, and I looked into this and I had some concerns and I actually phoned my insurance company, and I think it's probably, I'm guessing here, but maybe over or up to 95% of car insurance policies here in the UK, in England, only cover content up to £50 in your vehicle. So if you've got 2, 3, 4, 500, thousands, whatever, locked up in your vehicle, if it gets stolen, they're only going to pay out up to £50. So there's that to bear in mind as well. So as I said earlier on in the video, there's so many scenarios and you probably can't cover it all in one video. It would be impossible. It really would be. So yeah, we're going to flirt between bugging in and bugging out. For me, the things against bugging in an urban location is what I said earlier, is security. It's the number one thing. Unless you've got millions of rounds of ammunition, you've got like loads of people in that property to stay watch, etc. Shoot with the bad guys, and eventually, you know, your food stocks are gonna run out, depending on how much you've got, obviously. And also, it's drawing attention to yourself as well. If you've got a generator in your house, you know, once the power's gone down, it's going to be dark at night everywhere. It's going to be quiet. So any noise is going to raise attention and ring alarm bells, and people are going to wonder, blimey, someone's got a generator, someone's got power, right, I want some of that. And then before you know it, you know, bad things happen. So, and you know, trying to cover all of the angles. You know, there's people out there with disabilities, elderly relatives, so bugging out isn't really an option. Obviously you've got medication or meds to stockpile. Sometimes that's near on impossible for long term. One, because of sell-by dates, and two, because of actually accruing those spares and extras, anyway, is going to be a problem. You only get like prescribed a certain amount for that amount of time, then near the end of that time you go and get another repeat prescription. So stockpiling meds is a big thing with serious illnesses and disabilities, etc. So what have we covered here? Bug in, bug out. Yeah, bugging out places to go to. You need to sort of recce the area, reconnaissance to find somewhere that's suitable. Obviously you want somewhere away from roads, somewhere with a water source nearby and means of purifying water, which most of you already are more than capable of doing. Woodland environments. If it's a small woodland, I would avoid it because over time people will arrive there and yeah, big problem. Massive, huge, expansive woodland, a nice thought, but I think it's best if you have some sort of training, whether you're hunter, poacher, you're ex-service, military, preferably infantry, because infantry soldiers and indeed special forces are trained in how to survive and how to patrol, security, all of that sort of thing in their remit. So that's a big bonus. Myself, limited experience in military, being reserves for 3 years, but having met and come across and made some good proper friends who are special forces, learning tips and trips, tips from them. Also a big help. You know, some of it is not really known on the internet or in books, so important skills to sort of grab, learn, practice and get good at. So yeah, that would be my take on things about bugging in and bugging out. It may seem a bit rambly because I haven't got anything planned or written down. Just wanted to get it out there and get you guys talking about it and fire back loads of questions in the comments, and you know, we can maybe base future videos on what people have said. Speaking of what people said, someone also left a comment who was ex-REME, I think, Royal Electrical Mechanical Engineers. He was involved in exercising training regarding martial law and breakdown of society, and what was said in that comment, which is something I didn't know about, to be honest, until that point, was multi-storey car parks in the UK will be turned into morgues or makeshift morgues. And when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Obviously all multiple levels, big areas, sheltered from the elements to an extent, and also you've got that airflow coming through because it's going to smell, obviously. And who's to say yes or no whether the bodies on the top floor, on the open air, will get burnt off? It sounds like a good idea when you're talking of that amount of dead people. Obviously it's going to smell, take up room, you need to have room for more, etc. And also this thing that I've not ever talked about on a YouTube video, something which I feel which will happen, is when you think about it, most towns and cities in the UK have these storage facilities, self-storage. Think about that, self as in myself, yourself, self as in people, self-storage. They're perfect when you think about how they're broken into for holding prisoners. Obviously they can be like beefed up quite quickly with the engineers who will come along and re-strengthen things. So yeah, you've got these great big huge buildings on the outskirts and indeed in urban environments. They've got big car parks for like military vehicles to arrive with prisoners. There's cameras everywhere, it's floodlit, it's relatively secure, and you can store a lot of people, prisoners, in them buildings. And I should imagine there's a lot of those buildings here in the UK. So you know, the prisons are already full pretty much. The police stations, they're going to be filled up pretty much with their holding cells very quickly. Then I should expect maybe these storage facilities used as prison holding facilities. And another thing, while I'm on the subject of it, this is all what I've been finding out. There seems to have been a lot of motorway bridge upgrades, repairs, structural changes over the last maybe 10 years. Some of them go on for such a long time, a lot longer than people would probably expect. You know, to repair or do some repairs on a bridge, and it takes over a year per bridge. I can only assume that, you know, this shit at the fan thing is coming down the road at some point. And one of the reasons I think these bridges are taking so long is they're making them so strong that they're going to be capable of withstanding a lot of military vehicles, a lot of weight, a lot of wear and tear on those bridges. So they don't want them bridges, our main infrastructure routes, collapsing. So they're going to be beefed up big time, which I think has been happening, as I say, for over the last 10 years, maybe more. Obviously, another thing, so I'm rethinking all of the things I thought about earlier during the week about this video. I've taken no notes. I'm trying to keep it all in the grey matter, which is crazy at the moment. Bugging out. Now, you know, from the training I've had in the infantry, you go out there, you basically disappear, you cam yourself up, you hide out the way, you have patrols, observation posts, etc. You'd have recce's to find out who's about, gathering the intelligence, and come back to base, as it were, or your little harbour area, and you just go from there. That was fine back in the late 80s when I was trained, but a lot's changed since then. You know, you've got air assets are going to be deployed after a big event like this that we're talking about, i.e. drones. Drones are going to be flying around everywhere. It's a great asset to any force is aerial capabilities. As I say, air assets looking down at the ground, and they're going to be looking around to see where people are, what they're doing. But not only that, at night time, also these are going to be equipped with thermal imaging. So if you are out in the woods or out in the malls and you've dug in, etc., and you've cammed it all up and it's great, your heat signature is going to be pinged, exposed quite easily with all these drones everywhere. So things have changed a lot, and obviously these drones can be weaponised quite easily. There's going to be some youngster in some control room, portable mobile control room, flying these drones around. They're going to have to make the decision live to neutralise targets, etc. So there's a lot to consider, and when you consider the size of the UK and the amount of people on there, and the amount of woodland and places to hide, etc., it's near on impossible if you look at it. But for me, don't give up. I just think it's foolish just to say, well, what's the point? You know, why spend all my money and time trying to sort of keep my family safe and just end up in some camp somewhere, or get your house blown up or looted, and God forbid all the other nasty things that come in with that, is to try and keep one step ahead of the game and think, watch, learn, and try to understand what works for you. So, sorry this video's gone on long enough. This is me and my rambling thoughts about shit at the fan. Should you bug in or should you bug out? So think about all of the points, add it into your plan, or if you're new to this and you're considering making plans to stay at home or leave quickly, yeah, there's a lot to think about. And you know, we could talk about this for hours. In fact, this has probably gone on long enough. So that's enough for this week at the bunker. Hope you enjoyed the video and you're staying safe out there. So always remember, watch, learn, educate yourself, and by all means, stay funky.